NATO jets took to the skies overnight as Russia fired more than 50 missiles and 500 drones across Ukraine. Poland went on alert near the border, fearing another incursion. We'll tell you what happened, how close the attack came to NATO airspace, and what it means going forward. Overnight, NATO scrambled fighter jets once again as Russia launched one of its largest aerial attacks in months. More than 50 missiles and roughly 500 drones raining down across Ukraine. This time, the strikes reached deep into western Ukraine, close enough to Poland to trigger a full alert. Poland's military says it scrambled fighter jets, activated radar systems, and placed its ground-based air defenses on the highest state of readiness. Dutch F-35 stealth fighters, part of NATO's air policing rotation in Poland, also took off to monitor the skies. By morning, Warsaw reported no confirmed violations of its airspace, and its forces stood down. But for several hours, Polish and Allied aircraft were operating at combat readiness. Officials called it a preventative response, meant to secure airspace and protect civilians near the border. The reality is, these preventative scrambles are happening more and more often. Just last month, around 20 Russian drones crossed into Polish airspace in what Prime Minister Donald Tusk called a deliberate provocation. NATO jets intercepted several of them, the first direct encounter between the alliance and Russia since Putin's full-scale invasion began back in 2022. And even before that, similar incidents over Romania and the Baltics forced NATO to deploy emergency intercepts. Thus far, none have triggered Article 5. That's the clause, of course, that treats an attack on one member as an attack on all. The latest Russian barrage killed at least 5 civilians in Ukraine, including a family of 4 near the city of Lviv, roughly 40 miles from the Polish border. Another person was killed further south in the Zaporizhzhia region, where strikes left tens of thousands without power. Russia's defense ministry confirmed that it carried out what it called a, quote, massive strike using long-range precision weapons and hypersonic Kinzhal missiles. You know, maybe it's just me, but I'm starting to think that Putin really doesn't want to end his 3-year war. In Lviv, one of the cities typically considered safest in Ukraine, air raid sirens wailed through the night. The mayor warned residents to stay indoors as air defenses intercepted wave after wave of incoming drones. By dawn, large parts of the city were still without electricity. Ukraine's foreign minister said the latest assault shows that Russia is deliberately escalating and called for greater transatlantic pressure on Moscow, especially to target its energy revenues. Zelensky echoed that, saying Ukraine needs faster delivery of Western air defenses to make these attacks, quote, meaningless. European Union Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas condemned the strikes, saying Moscow is, quote, masking its failed summer offensive with terror attacks on civilians. Meanwhile, in Moscow, President Putin defended the bombardment as a legitimate military operation against Ukraine's energy and defense sectors. Over the weekend, he also warned that if the U.S. follows through on discussions about supplying Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine, those are long-range weapons, of course, capable of striking deep into Russian territory, it would mean, in Putin's words, direct participation by American personnel and the destruction of U.S.-Russia relations. In the meantime, Ukraine's skies have become the flashpoint. Each Russian attack near the Polish border sends NATO's radar operators scrambling and Allied pilots skyward. Each night, like this last one, brings another test of the alliance's readiness and its restraint. For now, the system is holding. No incursions, no misfires, no accidents. But that line between vigilance and confrontation is thin. The more frequently these scrambles happen, the greater the risk that one goes wrong. An intercepted drone that drifts a few miles too far, a missile that strays off course, or a nervous pilot who misreads a moment. All right, coming up next, we'll have an update on the U.S. government shutdown, where lawmakers are still struggling to reach a deal. Well, that's because they're all very dysfunctional, and agencies brace for impact. We'll have the details. Hey, Mike Baker here. Now, I've spent a large portion of my life and my career in the field. Long hours, tough terrain, no room for gear that can't keep up. That's why I trust Brunt workwear, right? Brunt is spelled B-R-U-N-T, just like you'd imagine. Now, as an example, their field boots, well, their boots are rugged, waterproof, and comfortable right out of the box. That's really important because there's no break-in needed. Brunt builds more than boots, too. Work pants, jackets, all of it built to perform. It's durable, it's reliable, it's mission-ready. For those who get after it, Brunt's got your back. Brunt was tired of the workwear brands out there cutting corners. You work too hard to be stuck in uncomfortable boots that don't hold up, right? Am I right? So they built something better. Boots that are insanely comfortable, and they are, and built for any job site. For a limited time, our listeners get $10 off at Brunt when you use code PDB at checkout. Just head to bruntworkwear.com and use the code PDB, and you're good to go. And after your order, they'll ask you where you heard about Brunt. Do us a favor and tell them the PDB sent you. Hey, Mike Baker here. Let me take just a minute of your time to talk about protecting your hard-earned assets. That's a very important topic. Look, gold is up around, 40% this year? And it's not speculation. That's just reality. And if a portion of your savings isn't diversified into gold, well, you could be missing the boat. Here's the facts. Inflation is still too high. The U.S. dollar is still too weak. And the government debt, well, that seems insurmountable. And that's why central banks are flocking to gold. They're the ones driving prices up to what are now record highs. But it's not too late to buy gold from Birch Gold Group and to get in the door. Birch Gold will help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. And you don't pay a dime out of pocket. Just text PDB to 989-898 and claim your free information kit. There's no obligation. It's just useful information. Remember, the best indicator of the future is the past, and gold has historically been a safe haven for generations during times of inflation or instability. Text PDB to 989-898 right now to claim your free information kit on gold. Again, text PDB to 989-898. Protect your future today with Birch Gold. Welcome back to the Afternoon Bulletin. I want to provide an update on the U.S. government shutdown, now in its sixth day. Really, it just seems like yesterday, as President Trump prepares to take decisive action after nearly a week of a stalemate between Republicans and Democrats that has stalled reopening efforts. White House National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett told CNN that the president remains, quote, hopeful for a breakthrough, but ready to act if talks remain deadlocked, end quote, adding that White House Budget Director Russ Vought has already drawn up plans for federal cutbacks if Democrats continue to refuse to negotiate. As we discussed, when the shutdown first began on the 1st of October, which is the start of the fiscal year for 2026, the deadlock occurred after Senate Democrats blocked a short-term funding bill that would have kept the government open through the 21st of November. The continuing resolution, a routine measure to maintain federal operations, failed as Democrats demanded concessions on health care and social spending. Democrats are now insisting on a permanent extension of Enhanced Affordable Care Act tax credits and written guarantees protecting their favorite social programs. The White House has labeled that demand, quote, a bailout for Obamacare, arguing the government cannot be held hostage to preserve a failing system. Trump has framed this standoff as a fight over accountability and reform. Speaking to reporters, he said, quote, we want to fix it so it works. Obamacare has been a disaster for the people, end quote. Senate Majority Leader John Thune accused Democrats of political brinksmanship. Well, that would be the first time ever in Washington, D.C., telling Fox News, quote, it's open up the government or else. That's really the choice that's in front of them right now. This morning, Speaker Mike Johnson said flatly, quote, there's nothing for us to negotiate. The ball is in the Senate's court, end quote. Inside the administration, Vought and the Office of Management and Budget, or Mismanagement and Budget, whatever, central to Trump's broader downsizing agenda, have prepared contingency plans that go beyond temporary furloughs. The proposal calls for permanent federal workforce reductions, a first of its kind, that the White House says will both cut costs and assert executive control over government spending. Despite repeated invitations from the White House, no direct negotiations have taken place with Democratic leaders since last week. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, appearing on CBS's Face the Nation, accused the administration of, quote, refusing to talk, a claim that Trump officials dismissed as political theater, given Democrats' continued failure to present an objectively viable counterproposal. And so, this evening, the Senate is expected to vote again for the fifth time, hey, what's that definition of insanity, on both the House-passed Republican stopgap and the Democratic alternative. With a 53 to 47 GOP majority and one Republican opposed, Trump's party will need at least 8 Democrat votes to send their bill to the president's desk. So far, only 3 have crossed the aisle as the shutdown drags on. And that, my friends, is the PDB Afternoon Bulletin for Monday, the 6th of October. Now, if you have any questions or comments, please reach out to me at pdb@thefirsttv.com. And, of course, to listen to the show ad-free, you can do that. Just become a premium member of the President's Daily Brief by visiting pdbpremium.com. I'm Mike Baker, and I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, stay informed, stay safe, stay cool. Hey, Mike Baker here. Now, you know this, before Ridge wallets came along, right, I carried this giant worn-out leather brick of a wallet in my back pocket. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? You got a wallet. Before you know it, it's stuffed full of things, right? And maybe if you're lucky, you got some cash in there as well. But it was bulky, it's uneven, and honestly, it's a pain, literally. So switching to Ridge completely changed my game, right? The wallets are slim, modern, and tough enough to hold up to 12 cards plus cash, if you still carry cash. Made from premium materials like aluminum, titanium, and carbon fiber. They've got over 50 colors and styles, which means you can pick one that actually fits your personality. Ridge wallets also come with RFID blocking technology for peace of mind and also a lifetime warranty. So as far as I'm concerned, this is the last wallet I'm buying. And over 100,000 five-star reviews back it up and tell you that they're great. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off at Ridge by using code PDB at checkout. Just head over to ridge.com and use code PDB, and you're all set. And after your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Do me a favor and tell them the PDB sent you.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and leave a comment, a really positive, nice, and kind comment. That would be appreciated. And if you're not already subscribed to our channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our daily updates.